I can't believe you're still defending him after everything he's done. My mother's voice cut through the dining room like a knife, making the expensive china on the table rattle. I gripped my fork tighter, refusing to let her see how much her words stung. I'm Tegan, and this is the story of how I chose love over family expectations, and somehow ended up winning at both. Mum, Flynn's business setback wasn't his fault. The market crashed and... I started, but Claire's snort from across the table cut me off. A setback? Is that what we're calling 300,000 in debt now? My sister twirled her wineglass, her perfectly manicured nails tapping against the crystal. God, Tegan, you used to be the smart one. I pushed my untouched roast beef around the plate, wondering for the 100th time why I'd agreed to another Friday night family dinner. The chandelier light caught my wedding ring, and I remembered exactly why. Because Flynn had insisted I shouldn't lose my family over his problems. I made my choice, I said firmly. I'm using my inheritance to clear Flynn's debt, and we're starting fresh. Dad cleared his throat. Honey, that money was meant for your future, your mother and I. This is my future, Dad. Flynn and I have a plan. Oh, like his last brilliant plan. Mum's laugh was bitter. The one that left him bankrupt? The worst part was I could see Aunt Annalise, usually my strongest ally, biting her lip uncertainly. Even she thought I was making a mistake. Flynn's meeting with investors next week, I said, straightening my spine. He's got a new concept that... Of course he does. Claire rolled her eyes. There's always another get-rich-quick scheme with Flynn, isn't there? I stood up abruptly, my chair scraping against the hardwood floor. I need some air. Nobody tried to stop me as I headed for the back porch. The summer evening was warm, but I shivered anyway. Through the kitchen window, I could hear their voices, probably not realizing how well sound carried out here. She's throwing her life away, Claire's voice drifted out. Imagine marrying a failure and then doubling down on it. I pressed my hands against the porch railing until my knuckles turned white. They didn't know Flynn like I did. They hadn't seen him working until 3 a.m., hadn't witnessed his brilliant mind at work, hadn't felt the depth of his determination to make things right. The screen door creaked, and Aunt Annalise stepped out. They mean well, you know. Do they? I turned to face her. Because it feels like they're enjoying this. She sighed, moving to stand beside me. Your mother's scared. She watched her own mother lose everything to a man with big dreams and empty pockets. Flynn isn't like that. I pulled out my phone, showing her the business plan we'd spent months perfecting. Look at these projections, the market research. This isn't some pipe dream, Annalise. She studied the screen, her expression softening. You really believe in him, don't you? With everything I have. I took my phone back, clutching it like a lifeline. And I'm not just blindly following him. I've been part of every decision, every strategy session. This is our plan, not just his. The door opened again, and Mum stepped out. Dinner's getting cold. I think I'm done for tonight, I said, gathering my purse from the porch swing. Flynn's waiting at home. Of course he is, Mum muttered, probably planning how to spend the rest of your inheritance. Something in me snapped. You know what, Mum? 10 years from now, when Flynn and I have built something amazing, I want you to remember this moment. Remember how you all sat here and judged us, wrote us off, treated us like we were crazy. Tegan, Annalise started, but I was already heading for my car. As I pulled out of the driveway, my phone buzzed with a text from Flynn. How'd it go? I could picture him in our small home office, surrounded by business plans and market research. Probably hadn't even eaten dinner yet. Despite everything, a smile tugged at my lips. About as well as expected, I typed back. But it doesn't matter. Are you still up for that meeting with Bruce tomorrow? Already prepped the presentation? We're going to knock their socks off. Looking at his message, I felt the same certainty I'd felt 6 months ago when I'd first offered to help clear his debt. My family might think I was throwing my life away, but I knew better. Sometimes the biggest risks led to the greatest rewards. I turned up the radio, drowning out the echoes of their criticism. Let them talk. Flynn and I had work to do, and I couldn't wait to prove them all wrong. 6 months earlier, I sat at our kitchen table surrounded by bills, my laptop's calculator app mocking me with its endless columns of red numbers. The inheritance money sat untouched in my account, a safety net I'd sworn never to touch, until now. "You don't have to do this," Flynn said, placing a cup of coffee beside me. Dark circles shadowed his eyes, matching the ones I'd seen in the mirror that morning. "We're married! Your debt is my debt!" I pulled up our joint spreadsheet, the one we'd been using to track every penny. "If we're smart about this, we can clear everything and still have enough seed money for the business." Flynn dropped into the chair across from me, running his hands through his dishevelled hair. "I never meant to drag you into this mess. The market crash, the investors pulling out. It wasn't supposed to happen like this." "I know." I reached across the table, squeezing his hand. "But it did, and now we deal with it. Together." The next few weeks became a blur of extreme budgeting and extra shifts at my consulting job. I picked up weekend work, Flynn sold his beloved vintage car collection, and we moved to a smaller apartment. Every dollar saved went straight to debt repayment. "You're insane," Bruce said one evening, watching me clip coupons at our new, much smaller dining table. "Both of you, working yourselves to death over debt you could have walked away from through bankruptcy." Flynn looked up from his laptop. "That's not who we are." "Besides," I added, "bankruptcy would have killed any chance of getting investors for the new business." Bruce leaned forward, his expression shifting from skeptical to intrigued. "About that, I might have something for you." Flynn's fingers stopped typing. "What kind of something?" "Remember that sustainable packaging concept you wouldn't shut up about last year?" Bruce pulled out his phone, scrolling through emails. "Well, I showed those preliminary designs to some people, important people." My heart started racing as Bruce continued. "There's this company looking to revamp their entire packaging line. Going green, sustainable, the whole 9 yards. They need someone with fresh ideas. When can we meet them?" Flynn was already reaching for his notebook. "Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Bruce grinned. "Better dust off that presentation you've been tinkering with." I stayed up with Flynn until 3 a.m, refining his pitch, tweaking graphics, running through potential questions. When he finally crashed on the couch, surrounded by notes and sketches, I covered him with a blanket and kept working. At 7 a.m, my phone rang. The screen showed my mother's number, but I sent it to voicemail. 10 minutes later, a text arrived. "Your sister said you're working weekends now. Is Flynn making you pay for his mistakes?" I deleted the message without responding. They didn't understand that this wasn't about paying for mistakes. It was about investing in our future. The next evening, Flynn burst through the door, his tie askew and his eyes wild with excitement. "They loved it! Bruce, tell her!" Bruce followed him in, looking equally elated. "They didn't just love it, they want to fast-track development. Full funding, dedicated team, the works." I dropped the stack of bills I'd been sorting. "Are you serious?" "Dead serious." Flynn swept me into a hug, spinning me around our tiny living room. "Baby, this is it. This is our chance." The moment was interrupted by my phone ringing again. This time it was an old family friend, Margaret. "Tegan, I hate to bother you so late, but—" Her voice cracked. "I need help. The investment group your parents recommended. Something's wrong. All our money, it's gone." My celebration high crashed as Margaret continued. "Your sister said you might know about financial recovery, given what happened with Flynn. Please, I don't know who else to call." I caught Flynn's eye, and he nodded, already understanding. Come over, Margaret. We'll figure something out. After I hung up, Bruce raised an eyebrow. Family friend? Yeah. I sank onto the couch. Sounds like she got caught up in that investment group Claire's been pushing on everyone. Flynn sat beside me, his earlier excitement tempered, but not dimmed. Hey, at least we know something about climbing out of financial holes, right? I leaned against him, thinking about Margaret's desperate voice, about my family's constant criticism, about the long hours and sacrifices of the past 6 months. You know what? Maybe everything that happened to us wasn't just bad luck. Maybe it was preparation. Bruce raised his coffee mug in a toast. To preparation, then, and to proving everybody wrong. Flynn clinked his mug against Bruce's, then mine. To proving everybody wrong. Looking at these two men who believed in our vision, I felt stronger than ever. Margaret would be here soon, and for the first time I had real hope to offer. Not just empty comfort, but actual, practical solutions. Sometimes the worst moments in life really did lead to the best opportunities. I can't believe you're actually helping Margaret after everything her family said about Flynn. Claire's voice dripped with disdain as she cornered me at Aunt Annalise's monthly Sunday brunch. It's like you enjoy being everyone's financial saviour. I carefully set down my mimosa. Someone had to help her. That investment scheme your husband recommended wiped out her retirement fund. Claire's face flushed red. Don't you dare blame Richard for this. He was just passing along an opportunity that's left half our family friends bankrupt. I grabbed a croissant from the buffet table, needing something to do with my hands. You know what? Never mind. I'm not having this conversation again. Girls? Aunt Annalise appeared between us, her smile tight. Everything okay here? Just perfect, Claire said, but her eyes told a different story. She turned to Annalise. Did you know Tegan's been giving Margaret financial advice? Apparently, her experience with Flynn's failure makes her an expert now. Annalise's eyebrows shot up. Actually, I heard Margaret's doing much better. She mentioned Tegan helped her restructure her debt and find part-time consulting work. That's right, I said, straightening my shoulders. Flynn and I connected her with some contacts from our new project. New project? Mum appeared, joining our little circle. Please tell me you haven't invested more money in one of Flynn's schemes. It's not a scheme, Mum. We've secured major funding and... Ladies! Annalise clapped her hands. Who wants to see my new garden? But Mum wasn't letting go. Tegan, honey, I'm worried. First the inheritance, now this. When will you learn? Maybe when you learn to actually listen, I snapped. Flynn and I are building something amazing, but you're all so caught up in your prejudices you can't even see it. I see plenty, Claire muttered. I see my big sister throwing away everything she's worked for. My phone buzzed, a text from Flynn. Big news, call me ASAP. Excuse me, I said, already heading for the patio. I need to take this. Behind me, I heard Claire say to Annalise, you need to talk some sense into her. She's going to end up just like Margaret. I closed the French doors behind me and called Flynn. Baby, you're not going to believe this, he answered on the first ring. The prototype passed all initial testing. They want to fast-track production. My hands shook as I gripped the phone. Are you serious? Already? Bruce is drawing up the contracts now. We're looking at full-scale manufacturing within 6 months. Through the glass doors, I could see my family huddled together, probably discussing my poor life choices. If they only knew. That's not all, Flynn continued. Remember that sustainability conference you mentioned? They want us to be keynote speakers. Us, Tegan, they want our story. I laughed, the sound carrying through the garden. From bankruptcy to keynote in less than a year. Who would have thought? We did. His voice softened. We always knew. After hanging up, I checked my email and found something unexpected. A message from a major business magazine wanting to feature our company's rapid rise and innovative approach to sustainable packaging. The French doors opened and Annalise stepped out. "Everything okay? You look different." "Everything's perfect." I showed her the email. "Still think I made a mistake standing by Flynn?" She read it twice, her eyes widening. "Tegan, this is... wow. Does your mother know?" "What do you think?" Annalise glanced back through the doors. "Maybe it's time to tell them, really tell them." "Not yet." I tucked my phone away. Let them stew a little longer. They were so quick to judge us, so certain we'd fail. Let them keep thinking that for now. "That's a bit petty, don't you think?" "Maybe," I smiled, "but after months of their criticism and Claire's snide comments, I think I've earned a little pettiness." Annalise laughed softly. "You know they're in there right now, planning some kind of intervention. Claire's convinced you're heading for disaster." "Let them plan." I straightened my jacket. "While they're busy worrying about my choices, Flynn and I are building an empire." "An empire built on spite?" Annalise raised an eyebrow. "No," I said, watching a group of butterflies dance through Annalise's prized roses. "An empire built on belief. In ourselves, in each other, in our vision. The spite is just a bonus." My phone buzzed again. Another email, this time from Margaret. She'd landed a full-time position using the skills we'd helped her develop. "Coming back inside?" Annalise asked. I nodded, squaring my shoulders. "Time to face the firing squad." "And what will you tell them?" "Nothing yet." I smiled, thinking of Flynn's news, the magazine feature, the conference. Sometimes the best revenge is letting people underestimate you while you quietly prove them wrong. We walked back inside, where my family waited with their concerns and judgments. Little did they know, their worst fears about my future were already becoming my greatest triumphs. "We need more space," Bruce announced, surveying our crowded office, where boxes of prototype packaging samples competed with stacks of contracts and employee applications. "This isn't cutting it anymore." Flynn looked up from his laptop, grinning. "Already on it. Remember that empty warehouse space on Madison Avenue?" "The one with the exposed brick and huge windows?" I asked, shuffling through resumes. "Wasn't that way out of our budget?" 3 months ago, yes." Flynn spun his screen around, showing us the lease agreement. "Now we can afford the entire top floor." Bruce whistled. "Look at us, moving up in the world." "Speaking of moving up," I said, pulling out a particular resume, "I think I found our new head of operations." "The one from the multinational?" Bruce peered over my shoulder. "Better, Margaret." Flynn's eyebrows shot up. "Your family friend, Margaret? She's got 20 years of operations experience, knows our story inside and out, and she's already proved she can rebuild from nothing." I handed them her resume. "Plus, she's been crushing it at that consulting position we connected her with." "I like it," Bruce said, scanning her qualifications. "When can she start?" A knock at the door interrupted us. Our newest intern, Sarah, poked her head in. "Mr. Flynn, the investors are here early." Flynn jumped up, straightening his tie. "Show them to the conference room. We'll be right there." As we gathered our presentation materials, I couldn't help but marvel at how different things felt from just a few months ago. Our small team had grown to 15 people, with more joining every week. The prototype had evolved into a full product line, and major retailers were already placing orders. The meeting went better than we could have hoped. By the end, we'd secured another round of funding and 3 new contracts. As the investors left, one turned back to shake my hand. "Mrs. Summers, your team's growth trajectory is remarkable. You should be very proud." I caught Flynn's eye across the room, sharing a private smile. If only my family could see this moment. Later that afternoon, I decided to surprise Claire with a visit. She'd been oddly quiet lately, not even showing up to the last family dinner. When I pulled up to her house, I noticed the for sale sign in the yard. Claire opened the door, her usual perfect appearance slightly dishevelled. "Tegan, what are you doing here?" "Thought I'd check in. You've been missing family events." She hesitated before letting me in. The house was half-packed, boxes everywhere. "Richard and I are downsizing." "Downsizing?" I took in the designer furniture tagged for sale. "Or selling everything? Don't." Her voice cracked. "Just don't. Claire, what happened?" She sank onto a box marked kitchen. The investment group. It wasn't just Margaret who lost everything. We put everything we had into it. Richard's business, our savings, even took out a second mortgage. My stomach dropped. "Does Mum know?" "No one knows. Well, except you now." She laughed bitterly. "Ironic, isn't it? I spent months judging you for standing by Flynn, and now look at me." I sat beside her on the box. "Why didn't you come to me?" "Are you kidding? After everything I said about you and Flynn?" She wiped her eyes. "I couldn't face you." "Claire, I saw your company in the Business Journal," she interrupted. "The feature about innovative startups changing the packaging industry. You really did it, didn't you? You and Flynn actually made it work." "We did." I pulled out my phone, opening my photos. "Actually, we just leased new office space today. Want to see?" She nodded, and I showed her pictures of the warehouse, our growing team, the product line. With each swipe, her eyes grew wider. "Tegan, this is incredible." "It is." I put my phone away. "And you know what? We're hiring." Claire's head snapped up. "What?" "We need someone to manage our client relations department. Someone detail-oriented, good with people, experienced in high-pressure situations." "You can't be serious." "Why not? You've got the skills, and despite everything, you're still my sister." She stared at me for a long moment. "Why would you help me after how I treated you?" "Because sometimes people deserve a second chance." I stood up, brushing off my skirt. "Think about it. The position starts next month, and it comes with a relocation allowance." As I headed for the door, Claire called out, "Tegan, I'm sorry for everything." "I know," I turned back. "Email me your resume by Friday if you're interested." Driving home, I called Flynn. "Remember how you said we needed someone to handle client relations?" "Yeah, I think I found the perfect candidate." I smiled, thinking of Claire's face when she saw our success. Though fair warning, family dinners might get a lot more interesting. "Your father and I need to talk to you." Mum's voice on the phone sounded different, smaller somehow. "Can you come over tonight?" I glanced at my calendar, already packed with meetings. "Mum, I've got a busy day. Can it wait until—" "Please, Tegan." The tremor in her voice made me pause. "It's important." 2 hours later, I pulled into my parents' driveway. The house looked the same as always, pristine lawn, perfect flower beds, but something felt off. Dad's golf clubs were missing from their usual spot by the garage. Mum opened the door before I could knock. Her eyes were red-rimmed, her usually immaculate makeup smudged. "Where's Dad?" I asked, following her into the living room. "Here." His voice came from his favourite armchair, but he didn't stand up. He looked older somehow, defeated. A stack of papers sat on the coffee table in front of him. "What's going on?" Mum perched on the edge of the sofa. "We've made some mistakes." Dad picked up the papers, his hands shaking slightly. "Remember that investment group Claire and Richard were involved with?" My stomach clenched. "Please tell me you didn't." "We thought we were being smart," Mum said, her voice breaking. "The returns seemed guaranteed. We put in everything, our retirement, the house equity, the country club membership," Dad added quietly. "My partner shares in the law firm." I sank into a chair. "How much?" "All of it." Mum started crying. "We're going to lose the house, Tegan. Everything we worked for, gone." The irony wasn't lost on me. Less than a year ago, They'd sat in this same room telling me I was throwing my life away by standing by Flynn. "Have you talked to a lawyer?" I asked. Dad laughed bitterly. "I am a lawyer, and yes, we've explored every option. The money's gone. The investment group was a fraud." "Claire mentioned Richard was involved in running it," I said carefully. "Richard's facing criminal charges," Mom whispered. "He and his partners. They knew it was a Ponzi scheme." My phone buzzed. A text from Flynn. "Meeting went great. Signed 3 new major retailers, coming home with champagne." I turned my phone face down. "Why didn't you come to me sooner?" "Pride," Dad admitted. "After how we treated you and Flynn, we were ashamed." Mom reached for my hand. "We were wrong about him, about you, the way you've turned things around, built this amazing company." "While we lost everything," Dad finished. I stood up, walking to the window. Outside, a for sale sign was already planted in their perfectly manicured lawn, just like Claire's. "You know," I said, still looking out, "we just leased a beautiful new office space. The old building we're in now. It's got 3 furnished apartments upstairs." "Tegan," Mum started. "They're meant for visiting executives, but one of them is empty." I turned back to face them. "It's not huge, but it's nice, and it's paid for." Dad shook his head. "We can't accept charity." "It's not charity." I pulled out my phone, opening our company website. "We need experienced people. Dad, our legal department could use someone with 40 years of corporate law experience. And Mum, your event planning skills would be perfect for our corporate relations team." They stared at me, speechless. "You'd hire us?" Dad's voice was rough. "After everything?" "I'm not just hiring you. I'm offering you a chance to rebuild, just like you should have offered Flynn and me." Mum started crying again. "We don't deserve this." "Maybe not." I sat between them on the sofa. "But family is family, even when they're wrong, even when they hurt you." "The apartment," Dad cleared his throat. "When would it be available?" "Immediately, though there's one condition." They looked at me warily. "You have to attend our company's financial literacy workshop, the one Claire's teaching now." Mum's eyes widened. "Claire's teaching?" "She's actually quite good at it. Turns out, experiencing financial disaster firsthand makes you excellent at helping others avoid it." Dad picked up the stack of papers. Foreclosure notices, I realised, and set them aside. "When can we start?" "Monday." I stood up. "I'll have HR send over the paperwork. The apartment keys will be at the front desk." As I headed for the door, Mum caught my arm. "Tegan, wait." She pulled me into a tight hug. "Thank you, and I'm sorry for not believing in you, in Flynn." "I know," I hugged her back, "but maybe now you understand why I did." Driving home to Flynn and our celebration champagne, I thought about how life had come full circle. A year ago, I'd been the family failure, the cautionary tale. Now, I was their salvation. My phone buzzed with a text from Claire. "Mum told me what you did. Thank you for not being as petty as I would have been." I smiled, thinking of our packed office, our growing team, our success built from the ashes of failure. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about rising so high that those who doubted you have no choice but to look up. "This is the one," Flynn announced, leading me through the grand entrance of what could be our new home. Sunlight streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating hardwood floors and soaring ceilings. "What do you think?" I walked to the windows, taking in the view of the city below. "It's incredible." Bruce whistled as he explored the open-concept living area. "A far cry from that studio apartment you guys were in last year. That's what makes it perfect." Flynn wrapped his arms around me from behind. "Remember sitting on our fold-out couch planning all this? Now look at us." The realtor cleared her throat politely. Shall we see the master suite? As we followed her upstairs, my phone buzzed. A text from Claire. Mum's crying in the break room, again. I sighed. Everything okay at the office? Your mother's still struggling with the adjustment, Bruce said, checking his own messages. But Claire's handling it well. She's really stepped up as team leader. The master bedroom was even more impressive than the living room, with a private terrace and a bathroom bigger than our first apartment. While Flynn discussed details with the realtor, I stepped onto the terrace, calling Claire. She's fine now, Claire answered immediately. Just got overwhelmed during the financial literacy training. Maybe we should pull her from the program. Actually, she asked to stay, said she needs to understand where she went wrong. Claire paused. It's not easy watching our parents learn basic budgeting from their daughters. No, I agreed, but it's necessary. Dad's doing better at least. Legal department loves him. I smiled, remembering how Dad had approached his new role with the same dedication he'd once given his law firm. How's the house hunting going? Found a nice place near the office. Nothing fancy, but it's within my new budget. She laughed softly. Never thought I'd be saying those words. My budget. Flynn appeared at my side, holding up a key. They accepted our offer. Got to go, I told Claire. Family dinner tonight. Wouldn't miss it. Margaret's bringing her famous lasagna. After hanging up, I turned to Flynn. We really doing this? Buying our dream house? We earned it. He pulled me close, though I have one more surprise first. Back at the office, Flynn led me to the conference room. Inside, a team from the leading business magazine was setting up cameras and lighting. What's this? Remember that article they wanted to do? Flynn grinned. They decided to make it a cover story, complete with photo shoot and video interview. Bruce appeared with a garment bag. Your power suit, as requested. You knew about this? Who do you think suggested the cover story angle? Bruce winked. The public loves a good redemption narrative. The next few hours were a whirlwind of photos, interviews, and carefully crafted answers about our journey from bankruptcy to success. The journalist seemed particularly interested in the family aspect. So, you've actually hired the same family members who doubted you? She asked. We believe in second chances, I replied, thinking of Mum's tears, Dad's determination, Claire's transformation. Success means nothing if you can't lift others up along the way. Even those who hurt you? Especially those who hurt you? I smiled. The best revenge is success, but the best success is being able to help others succeed too. After the interview, I found Flynn in his office, drafting a speech for next week's sustainability conference. Need help? I asked, perching on his desk. Always. He showed me his notes. I'm trying to find the right way to tell our story, the real story, not just the business side. I read what he'd written so far. A year ago, we lost everything except our belief in each other. Today, we're not just building a company. We're rebuilding families, relationships, and trust. It's perfect, I said, just like this day. My phone buzzed again, a message from Aunt Annalise. Saw the camera crew, finally ready to show the world what I knew all along. You know what's funny? I showed Flynn the message. A year ago, we were so focused on proving everyone wrong. Now we're more interested in proving them right, showing them they can succeed too. Speaking of success, Bruce poked his head in, wait until you see tomorrow's numbers. That new retail contract is going to blow your minds. Flynn saved his speech draft. Should we tell him about the house? Tell me what? We got it, I said. The dream house is ours. Bruce raised an imaginary glass. To the new house? To second chances, Flynn added. I thought about our journey. From desperate nights counting pennies to buying our dream home, from family scorn to family healing. To believing in each other, I said, even when no one else did. Looking at these two men who'd been there through it all, I felt a profound sense of rightness. We weren't just building a business empire. We were creating a legacy of redemption, one second chance at a time. Ready for this? Flynn squeezed my hand as we stood backstage at the annual family business gala. Through the curtain, I could see our entire team seated at the front tables, Claire looking professional in her new suit, Mum and Dad sitting nervously together, Margaret beaming with pride. Born ready? I adjusted my microphone, though I still can't believe they chose us for the keynote. Believe it? Bruce appeared, tablet in hand. Stock price is up 15% just on the announcement that you're speaking. The event coordinator signalled it was time. Flynn kissed my cheek and whispered, "Show them what we're made of." I walked onto the stage, the spotlight warm on my face. Hundreds of faces looked back at me, including several who'd turned down Flynn's business proposals just a year ago. Most success stories, I began, start with a moment of triumph. This one starts with a failure, a spectacular $300,000 failure. The room fell silent. 1 year ago, my husband and I lost everything: our savings, our reputation, our standing in the community. I caught Mum's eye in the audience. Even our family's respect. Dad shifted uncomfortably in his seat. But we had something more valuable than money or reputation. We had belief in each other, in our vision, and in the power of second chances. I clicked to the first slide, a photo of our old studio apartment, covered in spreadsheets and business plans. This was our war room, where we planned our comeback, one budget calculation at a time. Next slide, our first prototype. And this was our hope, a sustainable packaging solution that could revolutionize an industry. The presentation continued, showing our journey from bankruptcy to breakthrough. With each slide, I could see the audience becoming more engaged, more invested in our story. But success isn't just about proving doubters wrong, I said, clicking to a photo of our current team. It's about proving believers right, about creating opportunities for others to rise with you. Claire wiped a tear from her eye as I continued. Today, our company doesn't just produce innovative packaging solutions. We produce second chances. Every employee in this photo has a comeback story, including my own family. I gestured to our front tables. My sister, who lost everything in an investment scheme, now leads our client relations department and teaches financial literacy. Claire stood, receiving warm applause. My father, who had to start over after 40 years as a law firm partner, now heads our legal team. Dad stood, standing taller than I'd seen him in months. My mother, I paused as Mom dabbed her eyes, who thought I was throwing my life away by standing by my husband, now runs our corporate events with the same precision and grace she once used to judge our choices. The audience laughed warmly as Mum stood, blushing. And Margaret, our head of operations, who turned her own financial disaster into a blueprint for helping others rebuild. Margaret stood to enthusiastic applause. Flynn joined me on stage as I concluded. 1 year ago, we were the cautionary tale at family dinners. Today, we're proof that rock bottom can be the foundation for something extraordinary. Bruce appeared on my other side, bringing up our latest quarterly results on the screen. The audience gasped at the numbers. But more important than these figures, Flynn took over, is what we've built beyond the balance sheet. A culture of redemption, a family of second chances, a legacy of lifting others as we climb. The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes. At the reception afterward, Claire pulled me aside. That speech, you could have destroyed us all, exposed our mistakes to everyone. That wouldn't have served any purpose, I said, watching Mum charm potential clients while Dad discussed legal strategies with industry leaders. Success without grace is just revenge. When did you get so wise? She bumped my shoulder playfully. Around the same time you learned humility, I teased back. Across the room, I spotted several investors who'd rejected us last year, now eagerly chatting with Bruce. Margaret was surrounded by people interested in our financial recovery program, while Mum and Dad worked the room like they'd never lost their social standing. Flynn appeared with champagne. "To my brilliant wife, who just landed us 3 new major contracts with that speech. To our amazing team," I corrected, "who proved that sometimes the worst moments in life are just detours to something better." Claire raised her glass. "To second chances." "And family," Mom added, joining us with Dad. "And revenge served with success," Bruce chimed in, making everyone laugh. Looking around at my family, both blood and chosen, I felt a profound sense of completion. We'd come full circle, from shame to triumph, from rejection to redemption. But more importantly, we'd done it together, proving that the best success stories aren't about getting even, but about lifting everyone higher. As the evening wound down, Flynn whispered, "Ready to go home? To our new house?" I smiled, thinking of the journey ahead. Home is wherever we're building something together. "The boxes go in the master bedroom," I directed the movers, standing on the steps of our new home. The morning sun caught the windows, making the whole house sparkle. "Still can't believe this is ours," Flynn said, coming up behind me with 2 coffee cups. "Remember when we thought we'd be stuck in that studio forever?" A familiar car pulled into the driveway, Dad's new sedan, much more modest than his old luxury vehicle. He and Mum stepped out, carrying what looked suspiciously like home-cooked breakfast. "We thought you might need sustenance for moving day," Mum called out, holding up a basket of still-warm muffins. "And muscle," Dad added, rolling up his sleeves. "Where do you want me?" Before I could answer, Claire's SUV parked behind them. She emerged with Margaret and Bruce, all carrying boxes labelled kitchen. "Family moving party?" I asked, accepting a muffin from Mum. "More like family everything now," Claire laughed. "Get used to it." We spent the morning unpacking, sharing stories, and transforming the empty house into a home. Mum took charge of organising the kitchen, while Dad and Flynn assembled furniture. Claire and Margaret tackled the office setup, arguing good-naturedly about the best desk arrangement. "Hey, look what I found," Bruce called from the living room. He held up a framed magazine cover, our cover story, now hanging in offices and homes across the country. "That goes in the study," Flynn said, "along with this." He pulled out another frame, our first business plan, coffee-stained and worn around the edges. "Keep those together," Mum suggested, "the before and after, the dream and the reality." "Speaking of reality," Claire said, "the new financial literacy program launches next week. We've got 30 people signed up already." 32, Margaret corrected. 2 more joined this morning, former executives who lost everything in bad investments. They heard about our story and wanted to learn how to rebuild. Dad paused in his furniture assembly. "You know, I used to think losing everything was the worst thing that could happen to a person. Now I realise it can be the best, if you let it teach you something." "Like humility?" Mum offered, smiling softly. "Like family," I added. The doorbell rang, lunch delivery for the moving crew. As everyone gathered in the kitchen, I took a moment to stand on the back terrace, looking out over the city. From here, I could see our office building, its windows gleaming in the distance. Flynn joined me, wrapping an arm around my waist. "Penny, for your thoughts?" "Just thinking about how different everything is, not just the house or the company, but us, all of us." Inside, I could hear Mum laughing at one of Bruce's jokes, Claire discussing business strategy with Dad, Margaret sharing recipes with the moving crew. "Remember when they wouldn't even say my name?" Flynn mused. "Now look at your dad in there, treating me like the son he always wanted. And Mum actually asking my opinion on things instead of telling me what I'm doing wrong. Mrs. Summers?" One of the movers appeared at the terrace door. We found this box labelled Important. Where would you like it? I opened the box to find our old budget spreadsheets, the ones we'd used to climb out of debt. The study, I decided, next to the magazine cover. Keeping the reminders close? Flynn asked. Keeping the lessons closer. Back inside, Claire was helping Mum arrange family photos on the wall, old ones mixed with new ones, telling the story of our transformation. This spot needs something, Mum said, pointing to an empty space. I know exactly what goes there. I pulled out a simple frame holding a handwritten note, the one Flynn had left me the morning after we decided to use my inheritance to clear his debt. Thank you for believing in me. We'll prove them all wrong. And you did, Dad said quietly. You proved us all wonderfully, magnificently wrong. Bruce raised his coffee cup. To proving people wrong. To second chances, Margaret added. To family, Mum and Dad said together. To belief, Flynn and I finished. Looking around at these people, my family, both old and new, I realised that success wasn't just about the house or the company or the money. It was about this moment, all of us together, stronger for having been broken, wiser for having failed, closer for having fought. Claire caught my eye and smiled. Ready to hang that last photo? I nodded, taking the frame from her. As I placed it on the wall, completing our family story, I felt Flynn's hand slip into mine. Outside, the city stretched before us, full of possibilities. Inside, our family gathered close, full of love and second chances. This was more than a happy ending. This was a new beginning. For all of us.